Hey everyone, FusedVR coming at ya. Bit of a meta video this week compared to some of the upcoming technical content we have here on the channel. I needed something a little bit lightweight since I'll be in Miami for a week at the Bitcoin Miami conference, which I'm happy to connect in some meaningful way. I'll be there for about a week and I'm really excited for it just because kind of the first time I've ever been to a Bitcoin conference, so I'm open to seeing how things progress. That aside, I want to keep this kind of fairly short and sweet, and I think the title gives a hint at what I want to discuss because I think that phrase comes up from time to time in random different discussions that I have. It's something that, at least for me, is, you could say, kind of a North Star of a message to how I think about future technology. Just putting the phrase out there, right? It is, the path to hell is paved with good intention. It comes up often when I'm talking about AI with random people, but I think can be applied to broadly the metaverse, can be broadly applied to computer vision, could be broadly applied to VR or AR, could broadly be applied to Web3 and crypto. All of this stuff is new nascent technologies that I think we generally as technologists, if that's even a word, are really excited to play with. Kind of by definition, a technology is neither inherently good or evil. It's just kind of a tool, and how you choose to use a tool is ultimately what decides what is inevitably the outcome of your action. And so as a constant reminder, especially kind of given that that phrase kind of comes up from time to time just in random conversations and is kind of a guiding phrase for myself, I wanted to just kind of document my thought processes on that phrase and on what that means for all of the technologies that we touch here on the channel. To some degree offer solutions, but broadly, let me quickly summarize it. The path to hell is paved with good intentions. I take it to mean the following, which is, as you are continually doing actions and events with the best intent, they can often lead to unintended consequences that may or may not outweigh the positive impact that you are trying to bring. There's a corollary to that as I was kind of reading up on the phrase itself that I found I'd never actually thought about it until I read about it, which is people are inherently lazy, and as a result, while they might have good intentions to do something, they don't actually execute on it, and because they don't execute on it, negative consequences occur. And I think a combination of the two is a little bit of what we are seeing play out currently on the global spectrum, which is unfortunate nonetheless, that at least I'm hoping people actually had good intentions that caused them to create actions that have resulted in the mess that we're seeing on the global stage. But that may or may not be true depending on how you look at it. Needless to say, if we take a step back and then look at how that applies in, say, the conversations I have, is there's a lot of incredible things that you can do with augmented reality, virtual reality, AI, Web3, crypto, right? Each of them has exactly those pros and cons. You see a lot of arguments in kind of the polarized methodology of crypto, but I think the same could be applied equally to, say, augmented reality when it comes to sometimes you'll see these like crazy metaverse ads, if you will, where like your screen is kind of completely filled with advertisements, because once someone has access to your headspace, they can basically show you whatever you want. And even with VR, I think there are things as the technology evolves, say with eye tracking, that sure, you could use it for foveated rendering, but you could also easily use it to detect what someone is interacting with and then either manipulate their impression of something, or just at a more simple level, you can use it for advertising, right? So all of these technologies tend to have their pluses and cons to it. There's not necessarily a good solution to being able to pull these technologies in a direction that is ultimately positive. My hope, coming from a more capitalistic mindset, is that you can pull these technologies into positive light, given that humans on the general spectrum tend to be positive creatures, and moreover, the market as a result then ends up getting pulled and pulls this technology towards the good sides as opposed to the bad sides. But it's not necessarily a guarantee. Given this, then you can basically decide, how can I as an individual contribute in such a way that actually pulls this technology in the good direction over the bad direction. And the double-edged sword there, ironically, is that you might have the best intentions to pull things in the good direction over the bad direction, but then you might inadvertently actually pull things in a bad direction. And to some degree, again, if you're thinking about solutions, the way I frame it also is that the second meaning of the phrase actually applies too. You have two options. You can either choose to do nothing and hope that the technology moves forward. I see some people take that type of stance with, say, crypto, where they don't necessarily know which side of the fence they should be on, so they take a step back. My personal take is that you need to actively contribute to things to make a positive difference. Yes, I think all of these different technologies have their pitfalls, but if I don't necessarily contribute to them in any meaningful way, whether that is just me creating silly videos here on the channel that hopefully have a positive impact on people to build innovative solutions, that's at least something that I can contribute to that hopefully pulls the technology in that positive direction. I think if I said, you know what, there are pitfalls to everything, I'm just going to take a step back and wait, I feel like that exact second phrase, meaning that I'd actually never thought about for the phrase applies, which is that I would have good intentions but to see hopefully this technology move to a better day, but through inaction, I ultimately make up anything worse. That, and in essence, also kind of explains some of my motivation to put more information, more transparency, more videos into the ether and into the web space. Hopefully the knowledge and information helps someone actually pull the technology forward, because I think at the end of the day, that's how you kind of steer things away from the bad intentions, is that you have more people actively contributing. The more thought processes that you have moving in a space, the more likely it is to hopefully pull with the market forces to a positive direction. That honestly just kind of gives me the motivation to keep pushing out more and more content here, is really to see all of this stuff ultimately get used in the broadest sense in a positive manner, as opposed to a hellish landscape. Understanding and taking every step at a time with good intentions, with ideally good actions that hopefully can help more people move in the direction of a positive outcome. I'm gonna leave that here for now. I just kind of wanted to document it and talk through it myself, honestly, convince myself what is that reasoning framework here in this very unedited, mostly unedited, raw format, and just kind of lay down my thought processes. And my hope is in a kind of meta way that this can also help you reflect on those thought processes as well and decide how actively you want to contribute to any of these really exciting and vastly growing spaces. And if this did impact you in some way, I'd love to know down in the comments below and have that type of conversation. Or you can head over to Discord and chat with myself and the rest of the community too, because I think it's an interesting conversation to have, needless to say. And I think the more you kind of talk through it and digest it with more people, the better understanding you have of where you fit within this broader ecosystem and how we can kind of move things forward. So I'll leave that here for now. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you found this helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one. There's a whole bunch of more exciting content coming down the pipe, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe. Until next time, it's been FusedMan, and I'm signing out.